Good evening and welcome to Sakir Bahrain for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Tonight we are covering the Invictus F1 No Assist League, working in partnership with RacingLineMP.com. With myself tonight in the commentary box is Tom, as I'm actually currently covering for Gareth, who is unable to make tonight's race. Tom, you sat and watched last week's Australian Grand Prix. What was your thoughts on last week's round one race, and how do you think that's going to affect drivers who may have missed out on points last week?
Well, first of all, good evening everybody watching the stream tonight, and good evening to yourself, Craig. The race last week, it was a fantastic opening race to the season. We had Humbolstone and Boy Betanor taking the battle to each other right at the end with very worn tyres. Unfortunately, we lost two contenders for the race early on with Phil and Speed Queen, so the two of them will be looking to get a good strong result tonight and get themselves back in contention.
So, who do you think is going to conquer the 5.4 kilometre circuit consisting of 15 turns and 2 DRS zones? And you did mention some very quick drivers there in the form of Phil, Speed Queen, Boy, Better Note and Humbolstone. Do you think it's going to be a straight out fight between those four drivers? Or do you expect some of the other drivers on the grid to pop their heads up and be competitive, possibly putting themselves in a position for race victory tonight?
Possibly, Craig. Two drivers who I do like in particular, who are both joining the No Assist League this season, are SJD in the Red Bull and Scott Fielder in the Mercedes powered Force India. SJD will have the advantage, with it being no assist, also being the Red Bull, which has good traction, good aero, so I'm expecting him to go well tonight. And also you've got Scott Fielder, who looked very, very solid in the two pre-season races. I'm expecting him to do well again tonight. And also you got the returning Josh Heinze, so I'm expecting him to go well in the Williams.
Yeah, we're currently riding on board with Joel at the moment in the Toro Rosso, the number 69 car, as it comes round turn 8. On the super softs at the moment, so possibly looking for that two-stop strategy. And he's a driver that was tipped at the start of the season, always lights up the rear tyres a little bit, to be a championship contender. Had a tough race last week, of course. Do you think that he could possibly put Australia behind him and really go on the reputation he's built last season and possibly the pre-season as well? So do you think he could get his season back on track?
Yeah, I expect so, Craig, especially with being the second race of the season now. You take away the first week, sometimes you get the nerves, you get anxious, you get excited. You know, it's the first race, your nerves take over at the start, and obviously you messed up with the pit stop, which also forced Nicky Tuataya, who unfortunately is with us this evening. I think now he's on the track early, try to get a hot lap in, get a nice banker in nice and early, see where he's settled in, and if he wants to go on the softs later on for another fast lap, it'd be interesting to see how the qualifying session goes and where Joe will eventually end up.
Yeah, and a driver that will be looking to put Australia behind him is Mama Fisher, driving for Haas tonight. He was a late attendee last week, and because he was in the wrong car, it resulted in the disqualification. So certainly hoping to put Australia behind him.
Absolutely, Craig, and obviously you say he was in the wrong car. It was obviously in the Mercedes, started at the back, came through the grid, thought it was high up as 4th place at one point, but unfortunately the race kind of fell apart in the second half. But as you say, with the disqualification, it made no effect, so Mama Fisher will be hoping to come back tonight, get a good strong result and get the season underway properly and put Australia to the back of the minds.
Yeah, absolutely. As Joel just completes the Sector 1 on a 28.7, I believe that was on the Super. So not really lighting up the timing screens at the moment, but as you alluded to earlier on, Tom, possibly setting up a banker lap, just getting a feel of where the grip is on track as it comes round that fast turn 12 and a little unsighted turn 13, takes a wide entry into that late apex, looking to go down the final straight towards turn 14 and 15, and looking to get his opening lap time up on the board.
Absolutely, and if you look at the current times going through Sector 1, you see that it's still getting quite competitive, even at this early stage in the qualifying. As I'm just going to spot this Speed Queen now, it's going to Sector 2. Joel goes fastest at the moment with a 1:30.1, solid if not spectacular. Still early in the qualifying session, so there's still plenty of laps to go. Anybody else coming up to the line? F1 WSC, Malk, let's see what Malk can do. A 1:31.4, solid from Malk on the softs, as you can see. Have a quick look now, see if anyone else. So Josh Heinz, who's gone out on the medium. So very interesting tactics this early in the session. Well, I'm wondering what you make of that idea, Craig.
I'm sorry, I missed that question there, Tom. I was just quickly looking at the timings and possible strategies from Mark and Phil. As the Lange goes quickest, I was just looking at Phil's time in the Williams. Pretty slow lap from him in a 32.2. So Phil possibly leaving a lot of time on the table there as Speed Queen moves up to P2 with a 29.2, 1/10 off provisional pole sitter Delange. Yoss currently setting that lap on the mediums on a 1:30.6. And the Williams, yeah, absolutely competitive in the Williams. The car that's actually in the lowest performance this season, in the Formula 1 2018 season. Oh, big slide round turn 8 as there's a car off track as well. So Yoss looking to get on that power very early as Malk makes his way back into the pits after setting a 31.4 on the soft. So looking at the opening lap times, Tom, who do you think's... who's your most impressive lap time so far as we reach the 12-minute marker in qualifying?
I'd have to say Craig. Two times stick out. The current pole position set by Delange, or 1:29.1 in the Williams. Like Joss, making full use of the Mercedes donkey in the back of the car as he almost gets clipped by Phil coming down the back straight there. Needs to be a little bit more careful with the oncoming traffic. Joel also with the Toro Rosso, the Honda engine in the back of there, 1:30.1. Solid yet unspectacular. So the qualifying session now, as you can see, starting to come to life. You've got just 11 and a half minutes to go. The track evolution will be getting there now, so give it a few more minutes and you might be able to see some 1:28 laps coming in.
Yeah, we have drivers yet to set a pit time. SGD now on an out lap. Schofield are still in the pits, and Ferrari driver Mike also on an out lap, and it looks as if Humblestone is currently on a hot lap, so we will ride on board with him as he comes round turn 13 on that back straight. Sorry, I think it's down at turn 3, sorry, so apologies for that, and he will be approaching. I'm just going to ride on board, just try to get a sense. Sorry, it was at turn 12, it was at the last corner now, so around turn 14 and 15 in the Renault, crosses the line and a 29.8, which is good enough for third place on the medium. So yeah, absolutely impressive from Humblestone, who'll be looking to get one position better and take that race win after the race long battle with Boy Better No last week, Tom.
Absolutely, Craig. And you have to wonder now, with the medium, the harder compound of choice available this weekend, the track must be warm. It must be evolved now. The drivers who are taking on the higher compound tyre are able to get very, very competitive times. And you have to guess, Craig, that they'll just come down and as Boy Better No goes quickest on a 1:28.8. You'd have to see though, Craig. You'd have to say so. The tyre of choice appears to be the mediums and the softs going into qualifying at the moment.
Yeah, and definitely from testing last night with Formula 2 driver Jamie, he felt that the mediums were very consistent during a race simulation, so you could be right there, Tom, that the medium tyre could be the race tyre with the dropping ambient and track temperature.
Yeah, absolutely fascinating. Setting up what could be a fascinating race for ourselves, the viewers and the racers on tonight live. So let's hope the qualifying is a little glimpse into what could be an absolutely fantastic race as SGD comes up to the second sector. DRS wide open, drops down to fourth gear, kisses the apex on the way out the corner. Long sweeping left-hander for the double right. Careful not to touch inside curve because it'll spin your car. Over the second sector time, what does he get? A 28.8. So I imagine he's about 1:07, possibly earlier. Let's see how competitive that could be. I'm imagining it could put him in around 5th, 6th place. Let's just have a look. And he comes through the final sector now. Could be possibly quicker. 1:26, 1:27, 1:28, 1:29, 1:29, and he goes into 4th. So a fantastic lap by SGD on the softs in the Red Bull.
Yeah, he's certainly utilising the soft tyre, possibly thinking of the one-stop strategy. You'll see that the top three drivers are locked into that super soft strategy. So SGD possibly looking for a little tactical change, and we might actually see something similar in tonight's race that we witnessed last night in the US Grand Prix, Tom, where we saw the strategies being played out and really coming alive at the final stages of the race, where we've seen a top three shootout between Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen and Kimi Räikkönen. So will we witness something similar in Bahrain tonight for the no assist league race?
I think we'll have to, Craig. I mean, you look at the guys who could potentially be in the top 10 on used super softs. You'd have to imagine that they might have to pit twice to make full use of the strategy. That comes with its obvious issues. You need to come back through the traffic. You know, people who are going to be ahead of you could be one stopping. They're going to be on the harder tyre. They're not going to want to get out of the way because they know in the long run they're going to go one-on-one with you over the pit strategy. So it's going to be a very interesting race as far as we can see. I think some of the drivers like Speed Queen, who was on the mediums, she qualified in third on the mediums, has now switched to the super softs. Personally now, if I had a little bit of pace and I was feeling confident in the mediums, definitely be my tyre of choice. But you could at least go for 2 runs on them, 3 runs on them, get a nice qualifying lap in and see how the race opens up.
Just riding on board with Speed Queen as he comes down to turn 1. Little lock up on the inside right. Sticks in third gear. Turns round towards turn 2 and 3 up to 4th, 5th, 6th gear on the run down to turn 4. Little bit of traffic with Scopefielder in the Force India as we round turn 4, running down towards the end of sector 1. We will check that sector 1 time, and it is an opening time of 28.5, so reasonably competitive in the Williams car as we run down the hill towards turn 8. Little lock up again on that front right tyre on that run down to the dreaded turn 9 and 10. Oh, a little lock up again there, Tom.
The lock up is obviously a sign of really pushing it. Speed Queen knows with no points scored last week, this is a vital race, especially with Sargent being out of the reckoning this week. So Speed Queen will be looking for the pole position and looking to get some solid points on the board at this early stage of the season.
Yeah, but Boy Better Know sitting comfortably on provisional pole with a 2/10 gap over Delange in the Sauber, I believe that was, and also on the harder compound. So on the second quickest tyre, the soft tyre, and he'll be hoping just to disappear in the distance and break a gap between himself and the chasing pack. But Speed Queen goes second, 1/10 of a difference between herself and Boy Better Know on the fastest tyre, so this could still play an advantage to Boy Better Know at the race start.
Just watching the footage there, Craig, as Speed Queen slowed down, you see the marbles coming off the super soft tyres, so I'm guessing that the super softs might not be the tyre of choice to qualify on at the moment. I expected Speed Queen to go a lot quicker in comparison to her medium time, but let's see, still has enough time to get back to the pits, put on a new set of tyres and set another fast lap, so it's going to be an interesting last 5 minutes of the session.
Yeah, it could come who's actually on the track right at the end of the qualifying session, where the track is rubbered in as much as possible, just to eke that little 10th or 2 as we approach the 5-minute warning for tonight's qualifying session. So at the moment we have Boy Better Know on provisional pole, followed by Speed Queen on the super soft tyre, 1/10 behind, with Delange also on the super soft, so 29 dead in third. Scopefielder on the soft alongside Phil with a 29.1 and 29.3. So we'll be looking at drivers such as Joel, Humblestone, Mama Fisher and Yoss to see if they can actually punch above their weight a little bit and dislodge the second, third, possibly even pole sitter at the moment with 4 minutes remaining.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. I'm surprised that Mike's not gone out and done a hot lap. He's pretty much showing his cards early if he doesn't come out, because he'll be going for a one stop. Obviously, starting in 12th, you've got a bit of an advantage with not so many cars as there would be in a full field to be able to pick your way through the gaps. I imagine the Mercedes Ferrari runners for the remainder of the session will be highly in contention. I'm pretty sure Phil can go quicker, Scopefielder can go quicker. I'll have to say it's a big shootout between the top 12. So it's really fascinating end to the session, and it's just a case of who we go on board with, if anything.
Yeah, and Malk in the Renault just crosses the line. What sets a 1:28.8, takes provisional pole. So will Boy Better No feel the pressure in this Sauber? He's currently on a hot lap. Big lock up from the front right tyres. He comes round turn 8 on the soft tyre. So Boy Better No sticking with his soft tyre strategy. Can he dislodge provisional pole sitter Malk in the Renault? Oh, big slide from Boy Better No in the exit of turn 10 as we run down towards turn 11. Oh, gets it down into 4, turns the car in, allows the car to run wide, still struggling with the rear end, possibly running high ballast, and that means that the car is not wanting to play ball.
He's a tenth up, Craig. He was 3 tenths up, and I think Malk flashing across his screen saying P1 has probably put a bit of pressure on Scott on this lap, knowing that this is pretty much do or die now with only 2 minutes to go. Let's see if his time's going to improve as he slings it out wide to the left. Is he going to go across? And no, he doesn't. Oh, the times are equal. Fantastic scenes here.
Absolutely perfect drive there from Boy Better No. Does not take pole position from Malk, because Malk had actually set that time first. So both drivers on the front row, similar times but different tyre strategies. So this could come down to who gets the better run off the line. Humberstone currently out on track, sticking with the softs, comes round turn 2, on turn 3, a little slide from the rear of the Renault as the driver was trying to put that power down as SGD retires from the session. So SGD happy with 8th at the moment.
Interesting now, Humberstone, he led much of the race last week. He obviously finished 2nd on the podium, a 29.2 in the first sector. I'm not too sure on that first sector time. He could be possibly staying in about the same position. Phil retires from the session. Unfortunate for us, the viewers. We would have hoped Phil would be in the final reckoning, as does Josh. Quite happy with his 1:33 set on the mediums. Scott Fielder hasn't come out, so he's obviously quite happy with his time. Delange and Speed Queen appear to be the only people who are going to be challenging at the moment, both on their out laps. I believe Joe might be on a fast lap as well, but let's just ride on board with Humberstone. 102, 103. He's looking for the early 107 for the sector time. What does he get? He gets 108. Yeah, I think Humberstone might be struggling to improve. But he's pulled out Craig. He's got level 1 in his ERS. He's going to go for another fast lap. He's still got a minute to go, and he's got a decent amount of fuel as well. So we'll just leave him for now, and we'll switch across to.
I'm just riding on board with Speed Queen as she's just coming up the hill at turn 11 and 12 on her outlap, looking to just get those super softs into the tyre temperature window. Just coming round turn 13.
Delang moves up to 5th.
So at the moment we have Malk on provisional pole, followed by Boy Better No with Speed Queen in 3rd. Can Speed Queen take pole position from Malk and put pressure on championship leader Boy Better No as we approach 20 seconds remaining in the lap? It looks as if the Ferrari Mike was getting out of the way there, I believe it was. So Speed Queen coming down to turn 1, looking to... Yep, she actually gets through turn 1 without locking up that inside right tyre. Round turn 2 and 3 on the run down towards turn 4. And it looks very clean at the moment as Speed Queen starts to wind up this final qualifying lap.
It certainly does, Craig, and this is where you dip your bread. This is where it's going to be very, very crucial for your championship contention. It's a bit of a do or die time now, left late in the session. The session's obviously finished, so there's no more goals after this with a 28-second first sector. Speed Queen now flying round the hairpin. Nice line into there, no lock up. Gets a good run through the corner. A little bit back end slide, which is going to happen with no traction at the moment. DRS wide open, ERS level 5, no problems there. Still 70% of the battery to go.
Yeah, he's beginning to climb there.
Second sector. It'll be 1.7. 1.7 is going to be the window. And it's a 1.6, a 1.06. So this could be the provisional pole position lap if Speed Queen can tie it up. Yeah,
it looks as if she could be setting a low 1.28 if the first 2 sector times are anything to be taken from. And she comes round turn 14, turn 15. It's the final run down towards the checkered flag. It's a 28.7 takes provisional pole position from Malk. And I'm just checking to see if there's any drivers on the track who can take that from Speed Queen. I don't think there is. So it looks as Speed Queen is taking pole position right at the end of qualifying. An absolute masterclass from double world champion Speed Queen.
That's it, Greg. Speed Queen just put her hand into Malk's cookie jar and pulled out the final cookie and left no evidence that it was her who took it. Fantastic pole position lap.
So it looks as if this is the final qualifying order. So Speed Queen does take pole position, followed by Malk. So it'll be a Williams and a Renault on the front row, followed by Better Note and Humberstone, last week's long fighting drivers, and we may see something similar this week as both drivers are on a similar strategy. So Speed Queen does take pole with a 1:28.7, followed by Renault driver Malk, and a 1:28.8. Boy Better Know and Humblestone join each other in the second row of the grid, followed by Joel and Delange, both starting on the super soft tyres. Scott Fielder takes 7th with Phillip in 8th, SGD's 9th. Mama Fisher qualifies 10th for Haas, with Jos 11th and Mike, who did not set a time, so both Jos and Mike getting a free tyre choice ahead of the Bahrain Grand Prix. Just a quick comment from yourself, Tom, on that qualifying session as we begin to join or we prepare to join the drivers for the formation lap.
Action-packed. And obviously it was action-packed. It was full of action from start to finish. We had the medium tyres looking like the tyre of choice, and obviously then you had the change and evolution of the track. You had the super softs and the softs coming into play. So it's an interesting grid. You've got a mix of super soft versus ultra soft. And if you're watching this now and you've got anything you need to do, a chance to go for a quick ciggy, a quick trip to the toilet, or to get a cup of tea, now's the time, because we are going to be in for an absolutely fascinating race tonight.
Yeah, we all know Speed Queen is notorious for looking after her tyres, and I'm sure she'll be hoping that Malk could possibly do her a favour and hold off Boy Better Know, possibly frustrate him a little bit. But while Scott will be looking to move forward, they will have to keep his eyes in his rear wings or mirrors on Humblestone, who will be looking to make up for last week in Australia. So Humblestone possibly looking to even the score tonight at Bahrain.
And they both made fantastic starts last weekend, jumping Tony Y off the grid and taking the first and second place. I don't think Speed Queen wanted to go into the super softs there. I think it was kind of forced upon to make sure she got pole position. I think she'd have been quite happy just going out on the softs, but a fantastic lap from Malk to get himself on the front row of the grid. Obviously with him being a rookie as well, he's a rookie. He's not normally an assist user, so it was a fantastic lap for himself to get the Renault on the front row. But a Renault with the power deficiency as well, so well done to Malk. And was Malk on the super soft or the soft? I think it was super soft, wasn't it? So,
no, he was definitely on the super soft, so Malk looked to get a good strong start off the line, possibly putting Speed Queen under a little bit of pressure around the outside at turn 1. But yeah, definitely two drivers to watch out for at the race start. Boy Better Know, aka Scott, and Humblestone, both starting on the soft tyre, but as Tom alluded to, both very quick off the line as well. So we could see a 4-way battle into turn 1.
Oh, I don't know about you, Craig. I'm getting excited as it is now. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to run off for a quick cigarette or make sure I top up my coffee, but I'm going to try and sit through it with you. I'm a bit anxious. I'm not even racing, I'm feeling anxious. I don't know about you.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what the assist drivers can produce tonight over a 29 lap race. But we are expecting the drivers to go for the two-stop strategy, pit round about lap 5, lap 8. So that's usually the pit window for the one-stop drivers looking to go into the pits between lap 11 and 13. So that will give us an indication of when the drivers are looking to pit and also what strategy that they are opting for. So we're just waiting for the few last drivers to select their race strategies, and we will join them on the track for the formation lap.
Yeah, I just hope it's an incident-free start to the race. Unfortunately, like we said, we alluded to early on in the stream that we lost Speed Queen and Phil, unfortunately, early last race. So hopefully the two of them can be in the mix come the end of the race as well, as Speed Queen leads the drivers on the formation lap.
Yeah, it looks as if Mike's really dropped off a lot at the back there, so leaving a lot of room between himself and the drivers ahead. So Jos just ahead of him on the track as SGD gets disqualified from the formation. It looks as if there was contact between himself and Jos. So that may actually hinder their race start. They'll be sitting on the grid waiting for the other drivers to come round. Their brakes and tyre temperatures just dropping with the low ambient temperatures at the night race.
We've got a fascinating start of our hands. We're just looking at the tyre selection choice. You've got Malcolm and Speed Queen both on the super softs. You then got Scott and Humberstone both on the softs, followed by Joel and Delange on the super softs. You then have Scott Fielder and Phil and SGD on the super softs, Mama Fisher on the super softs, and Joss on the softs, with Mike not setting a qualifying lap at the start of the medium. So it'd be quite easy to speculate that Mike, if he goes incident free this race, will be doing the one stop. Very interesting now though. First lap, if Scott and Humberstone can get through Malk or Speed Queen, we're going to have an interesting race. So Speed Queen will be wanting to get those positions back, knowing that the tyres are going to go earlier because she's on the super softs. You've then got Scott and Humberstone, who, like I said, they can go longer in the stint. Malk as well. So this will be a very crucial start for both of them, especially for Speed Queen for the win. We've alluded to the pace of Scott and Humberstone in the past, so it'll be interesting to see if Speed Queen gets away cleanly off the line. Malk could potentially hold those two up, and let's just see how the race opens up, because you'd have to say at the moment, looking at the top 10, Scott and Humberstone both on the soft, they do have the potential to go the one stop. So let's see how the race goes. I'm looking forward to this one. A lot more than I'm looking forward to last week's anyway.
Yeah, a little bit of strategy there from Scott as he was just coming round the formation lap, really leaving the gap between himself and Malk ahead. So he's actually forcing Speed Queen and Malk to wait for him to arrive, and they'll be losing tyre and brake temperature as
Boy Better know.
Yeah, it does. Yep, absolutely. You need to use everything at your disposal, and we will be waiting for the 5 lights to come on the grid, and we will get underway. So we have 4, 5 red lights, and we are go here at Bahrain. It looks as if that's a great start from Scott. Scott does have the outside of Malk, and it looks as if he's getting alongside him, possibly trying to go round the outside as a Renault. Gives a little bit of room, but Boy Better Know gets ahead of Malk at turn 1, and he's looking to chase down Speed Queen.
Mike's gone as well. Turn 1 there, Craig. Mike right at the back. Speed Queen gets ahead. More crucially for Scott is that he jumped Malk, so we're going to have a battle between the two. At the moment, Speed Queen will be looking to get the afterburners on and race away from Scott, run and hide. But Scott at the moment with the softs is sticking to the back of Speed Queen. As we have a quick run down the order, Joel jumps up to 4th, Humberstone drops down to 5th, Phil up to 6th, Malafish up to 7th, Delange, Josh Hines up from 11th into 9th, and Scott Fielder has dropped right down from 7th to 10th. As we've got another change there, Josh goes back to the inside of Hines, and they force each other wide. Is SAG there to pick up the pieces? No, he is not. But now we'll go back on board with Speed Queen as she enters the second sector.
Yeah, and Joel is all over the back of Malk, but Humberstone was one of the drivers that lost out to Joel at the race start, and that would have came down to tyre choice. So Joel really utilising the super soft tyre and getting ahead of Humberstone, but Humberstone will be able to go longer in the race, as will Boy Better Know compared to Speed Queen.
But possibly Craig, but as you can see from Joel, Joel is all over the back of that Renault. He's sticking with Malk like glue at the moment, and he's going to is he close enough to get in the dirty air and have a run up the back of him? Is he going to get a chance to go into the first corner? Is there enough power in that Honda? Does it have the donkey in the back of it? Let's have a look as we go into turn 1. No, the gap isn't quite there. The gap is only half a second at the moment. He's closed right up into the back of him as to take the run up turn 3.
Yeah, and boy better know, big light up of the rear tyres. He was trying to get that power down out of turn 2, so really going sideways in the Sauber as Malk and Joel continue the battle for third as we just approach the end of sector 1. So it looks as if Joel could be lining Malk up once we approach lap 3 when DRS is activated.
Absolutely, Craig, as you say, he's going to be lining him up as when DRS is activated, but Mark currently in level 3 on the DRS, keeping some in reserve as Joel is still in level 5. Mark has been saying recently that he wants strong results in the no assist league to justify his choice to no assist, and he's in the kettle at the moment. He's going to be boiling. This is the real pressure point as Joel's behind him. He's running in third. He's still with the leaders as we see Speed Queen scoring to the second sector, just trying to open up a 1 second gap, break that potential DRS window. As we see Malk again, only 6 tenths ahead, and Humberstone not really making any impressions on Joel at the moment. I'll have to say neither is Phil. So the gap, even though the grid is still quite tightly packed, they're all about 6-7 tenths. Just they've all got like a little bit of space between themselves in front and themselves at behind.
Yeah, and despite being caught up in the dirty air and on the slower tyre, boy better know holding within 1 second gap to Speed Queen as the DRS now gets activated at the start of lap 3. So Malk just...
Craig, and if Joel wants to challenge the front two, he needs to dispose of Malk early on. He needs to look to try and get rid of him on this lap or the next, because as long as he is behind Malk, who is on the same tyres, his tyres will be getting affected as he looks like he's clocked closer, coming into the run into turn 3. He's going to have a look. No, he's not. There's a little glance to let Malcolm know he's there. As they both go right into the second sector now. The quick left-right jink down into turn 6. He's still quite close. He's 2 tenths, and Malcolm takes that quite slow. And Joel's got to run in. He's going to go up the inside. No, he's not. He shows Malcolm that he's there in his windows again as Humberstone closes in. Malcolm goes a bit wide. Joel might have a look into the hairpin. Is he going to take it? Is he going to take the chance? No, he's not. He nearly flips the back of him, and the DRS will now be wide open on that Toro Rosso. This could be the change for the last podium position. As Joel goes on the left-hand side, Malcolm on the right, 2 in the bed, and Joel puts it and he makes it stick with a hot water bottle. And Malk coming back at him. Malk's taking the left line. You know, you're going to be hung out there. They're still in the race. But no,
yeah,
pull that off, and Malk slots in front of Humberstone.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Tom, but Humberstone all over the back of fellow Renault driver Malk. So, just going back to what Joel was doing, he did not want to sit behind Malk too long, because being caught in that dirty air, he was really shredding those front tyres on the super soft. So Malk could lose out on 2 positions now to Humberstone, as Humberstone has DRS, but Malk will also have it from the Toro Rosso of Joel. Humberstone has a little look up the inside. Oh, looks as if he might break. Oh, tries really late break. I thought he was going to go back in the back of his teammate Mark there in the Renault, but he managed to get that Renault slowed down as all 3 drivers came through turn 1. But the battle at the front continues with Speed Queen and boy better know the gap currently sitting at 7 tenths of a second, and it looks as if Mark was a little bit out of shape there, and Humberstone looking to come round the outside on the approach to turn 6. And the battle continues for third position between Joel, Malk and Humberstone, but Phil just looking to sit off his shoulder at Humberstone as well. A little lock up there as we come round turn 9 for Sauber driver Phil, but Delange and Schofield are looking to get in this action as well. So a little bit of a train developing behind Joel for that final podium position.
Sorry, Craig, I'm using my headset by accident there. What I was trying to say was that all this squabbling behind Joel as he was coming through the Renaults has given the front two a gap of 2.2 seconds. Joel has now managed to break the DRS to Malk. Malk's going to have Humberstone and Phil in close contention with Delange and Schofield there. We're going to have a 5-train battle going down the pit straight. It's going to be the 820 from Wolverhampton to Sandwell and Dudley at the moment, and Malk leads the train all aboard. Humberstone's going to stick to the right. Phil's going to be there as well. He's going to stick to the left. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars into turn 1 as the Haas car just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, that looked as if the Haas of Phil had caught Malk unawares there as he was being squeezed by fellow Renault driver Humblestone, but it's a 4-way battle down at turn 4 as a Haas goes up the inside of Malk, takes 6th, but that Haas of Malk trying to go the Haas trying to go round the outside, now the inside, but it looks as if Delange's got him covered off as Scopefielder looks to come round the outside of the Renault at turn 8.
Yeah, Malk appears to be a moving chicane at the moment as Scopefielder gets out of shape coming into the corner there. Malk is going to have to pit on this lap. He might have to switch to a 2-stop strategy because at the moment he's just a moving chicane, as we can see. But fantastic action from all the drivers in this no assist league, as we see from that first corner to the 4th corner. Very, very close competitive racing. Every inch of room given and every inch of room taken, but no collisions, which is a great advertisement for Invictus Racing League. As we go back to the front now, Speed Queen. Just about to open the 1 second gap to Scott. Very interesting and crucial to remember that Speed Queen is on the super soft, Scott is on the softs. Speed Queen will be wanting to have had a greater gap at this point, especially with the potential that she will be 2-stopping. Scott on the soft tyres, he'll just be nursing the tyre, he'll be quite happy sitting there at the moment knowing that it's got the potential of a 1-stop or a 2-stop pending how the race opens up. But you have to question now the tactics if you are the leader and if you are going to switch to a 2-stop. You look at the other cars further down, you've got a lot of soft runners. You go into a 2-stop, you're going to be stuck in that big gap between Humblestone and Mike at the moment, which is going to be unfortunate because you're 2-stopping. You're going to be wanting to get through then because you know you're going to have to pit again, and there's a potential that they're only going to pit the once. So this is crucial now for Speed Queen to either bite the bullet, go on to the mediums, try and make them last, or try and gain a little bit more of a gap and now go on to the softs and then push the softs again. But it's just a case of, can she back herself to pick places through that grid in the Williams?
Well, seen a change of position between Scopefielder and Malk between turns 13 and 14, with SGD overtaking Goss with DRS on that run down towards turn 2. But Delange currently trying to rein in Sauber driver Phil. The gap's sitting at 0.8 of a second at the moment. As Humblestone is 0.8 behind Joel. But the first driver to opt for the pit stop is Mama Fisher, converting over to the soft tyre, 38 seconds behind Malk. So Mama Fisher possibly feeling that he wanted to get out of the ongoing pack.
Craig. The super softs are going off. You should pit now,
absolutely.
Joel's getting caught by Humblestone. This is the time to pit. If you're going 2-stop, you're going to sacrifice your race. Because look at Humblestone. Humblestone has just pulled Joel in. He's reeled him in. Like a little roach in the end of his line. He's reeled him in. As you can see, he set the fast lap of the race. As Humblestone goes up the inside of Joel. Can Joel put up a defence? Is he going to come for the cutback? No, he's not. He's going to try and squeeze Humblestone. He's going to take the inside line into turn 2. Humblestone's going to get the better run into turn 3. As you can see, Scott is also 3 tenths behind Speed Queen. The window is wide open now for the Super Softs to have pitted, because both Super Soft runners at the front are now under pressure.
Yeah, I wonder if we might be seeing Speed Queen trying to take these super softs late in the race, or as long as she can take them, to possibly go on to the medium tyre, going for that one-stop strategy. But as you can see, boy better note on the fresher soft tyres is all over the back of Speed Queen as we are on lap 7 of 29. So we are in the window, we are in the first window to a 2-stop strategy. And we have seen drivers such as Malk coming off the super soft, onto the medium tyre. So Malk coming out behind 10th place Mike. So Malk possibly looking to go to the end of the race, but Speed Queen really suffering with understeer as the super softs have hit the cliff.
This is the problem now for Speed Queen. Unbeknownst to her, Malk has pitted, but Malk on the mediums now. Could he potentially be going quicker? Could Speed Queen come out behind Malk and getting his dirt? Yeah, is Malk going to be able to make the overcut? Is he going to be able to go at the end? All these questions are going to be answered as we get further into the race. But Malk, as we know, can be good in his tyres. He's obviously had a bad opening stint on the softs as Joel pits first. Joel's pitted.
Sorry to interrupt you there, Tom, but Scott goes up the inside of Speed Queen at turn 1 with DRS. So Scott takes the lead of the race on lap 8.
Softs going on for Joel, Craig, so that's a 2-stop confirmed there. He's going to be hoping he doesn't come out in traffic so he can pick his way through, as also does Delange. Delange puts the softs on, so both going for the 2-stop.
Yeah, and Scopefielder starting to catch Phillip. Both drivers on this soft tyre, so the battle for fourth is continuing between Phillip in the Sauber and Schofield in the Force India. But Humblestone looking to... Oh, big mistake there from Phillip, going sideways on that run down towards turn 8. Big mistake from Phil, but recovers well, just tucks in behind Force India driver Schofield, so didn't lose too much time, but a big moment from Phil there.
Yeah, the soft users now, they'll be coming into the window for the tyres to work well. I'm expecting the softs to potentially pit between 12 and 14. Maybe might be a bit optimistic there, but if you're looking for the one stop, that is what you're going to be looking for. But unfortunately for Joel and Delans, they both come out behind Mike, and Mike's only running along on the mediums. He's obviously not pitted as of yet. You see Malky's, unfortunately for Malky, he's now got 3-4 seconds behind Delans to pick up on the mediums, so at the moment he is out of contention. Speed Queen has to pit sure of this lap, otherwise she's just going to be hemorrhaging seconds to Scott as every lap passes until she pits. I think Speed Queen, looking at the tactics now, will probably be switching to a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, I think she's just looking to hold on to the back of the Sauber of Scott. She knows that she'll be getting pulled along with DRS and the tow, so if she can stay within 1 second, I'm sure she will stay out on track on those super softs. But we do know she's an expert at looking after the super soft tyres, so this could come into play for Humblestone. So Humblestone could be in the hunt for P2 if Speed Queen's tyres suddenly hit the cliff and just loses a massive amount of time. So Speed Queen's going to have to be certainly very wise to what's behind as well as what's in front.
Absolutely, and you can see at the moment, if she was to pit, she'd probably come up behind Joel and Delange, who both pitted to the softs. So if there is going to be the change to the one stop, it might not affect too much because it might just drop behind those two, but if it is going to be a case of sticking with the two stop,
Speed Queen Tom had a little look up the inside of Scott at turn 11, so with the Mercedes power and the DRS, she's still able to put Scott under pressure despite being on higher degraded tyres.
Yeah, absolutely correct, as you say. So the expertise of making your tyres last longer, well, probably been fooled wrong. I've been fooled wrong many times. Is she going to pit? Let's have a look now. Yes, she does. She pits on lap 9. I'll stay on board, Craig, if you want to go with the footage, and I'll tell you what tyres she'll be chasing onto. Gets it down to under 50 just in time. Fantastic time in there. This could potentially be... Oh, it's going to be a two-stop, Craig. It's going to be the softs going on. It's a set of softs, so interesting strategy there by Speed Queen, who could potentially come out now behind Mike, Joel and Delange, as we see Mike come down the straight. So she might have actually stayed ahead of Joel and Delange. Let's go on board with Joel. Let's see if he gets through. No, I think Joel might get through. It's going to be a bit touch and go. Speed Queen comes out, and she comes out just behind Mike on the mediums. I don't know, Mike is a bit of a tricky customer to get through, so this could be the first test of the race. As Joel is right on the back of Speed Queen with his tyres up to speed. He's going to have a go up the inside. Joel goes up the inside. This could be a big crucial move of the race, and Joel goes up the inside of Speed Queen.
Yeah, it usually takes one sector before getting those soft tyres up to race temperature once they come out the blanket. So Joel utilising the extra temperature he's got in those softs and getting the move done on Speed Queen.
He came in 3 laps earlier. He was in 3rd place. There was a gap of about 3 seconds. Speed Queen, unfortunately, has cost herself there potentially by staying up a little bit longer. You'd have to question why, especially with the knowledge of going at the two-stop, as Joel's behind Mike. Is Mike going to put up a fight, or is he going to let Joel through? Looks like he's going to be putting up a fight, and why not? It is the overall position. He's doing the one-stop. As we see the 3 cars come up the hill, Ferrari, Toro Rosso, Williams, and the Haas of Delange just in the background. It's going to be good news for Scott. He's obviously clear now of Speed Queen, so Scott can now get the afterburner zone and get into that clean air and push now if he's going to go for the one-stop.
Well, Schofielder's now caught up to the rear of the Renault of Humblestone. The gap down to 0.5 of a second. So we could see a battle before second place. And this will play into the hands of Scott. He's currently got a 1.5 seconds gap between himself and second place driver Humblestone. And if he can actually see the second and third place drivers fighting, then he'll actually be sitting there rubbing his hands as Josh retires from the race. So we will wait to see what actually happened after the race with yours tonight.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, Joel looked like he was through Mike. Mike just decided to chop across from him on the exit of turn 2. So this is doing the two stoppers no good whatsoever, being stuck behind Mike at the moment. Joel has been darting left, right, and he's not been able to get through as the door has been firmly shut in his face. As now he's got a second chance with DRS behind Mike as Mike takes the inside line. Joel looking for a bit of room there as Mike takes the outside. It's getting a crucial stage of the race now where he's gonna probably have to lick the stamp and say, I'm going through, mate. And you can stop closing the door now as Speed Queen catches up to the back of him.
And Boy Better Know does come in for his pit stop. That promotes Humblestone into first place, Schofield in second, with Philip moving up to third. But Humblestone and Schofield are continuing the battle for the lead of the race, a gap down to 0.4 of a second. We're riding on board with Joel as he's trying to catch the Ferrari on Mike. Even with DRS, he's struggling to get alongside him. He does now into turn 1. Can Joel get the move done? A little bit of a lock up from the Ferrari, but Joel gets ahead, looking for Speed Queen to try and go round the inside at turn 3. Can she get the move done on the Ferrari? It's a drag race down towards turn 4. Speed Queen has the inside line, looking to push Mike slightly wide and gets ahead. So Speed Queen does move up to 6th place, and she'll be looking to close down Joel to retake 5th after that earlier overtake at the exit of the pit lane.
Interesting choice by Scott Boy Better Know as he's changed to the super soft. So he obviously believes that the two-stop strategy is the way forward. He's obviously covered off Speed Queen and Joel. He's obviously on the faster tyre as well at this stage of the race. So interesting now. The onus now turns on to Humblestone. How far can he go on these softs? The Schofield there, unknown to me, Craig. I'm not sure it was as much unknown to you, but he's right on the back of Humblestone. Schofield are going very strong at this stage of the race as Humblestone choose the pit. Schofield chooses this tail. This race could really come alive. You got the potential of Schofield going from softs to the mediums.
Yeah, and
potential opportunity to capitalise on the other runners getting tripped up by the one stoppers. So this could work in Scotfield's favour as Phil comes through in 2nd place. What tyre does Humblestone stick on?
Humblestone does go for the medium, so Humblestone going for that one-stop strategy, so that could come into play as you were mentioning earlier on, Tom. But Speed Queen looking to go round outside at Joel of turn 1, but Humblestone coming out the pits as well. Will that come into play and affect Joel's exit? But it doesn't. Joel manages to stay ahead of Speed Queen despite losing a bit of rear traction. So Joel working really hard there to keep ahead of Speed Queen, looking to put a little bit of pressure on Humblestone as Humblestone trying to get those medium tyres up to temperature.
This is very, very crucial for Joel and Speed Queen. If it wasn't already crucial to get past Mike in the Ferrari, this is even more crucial now because Humblestone will also be stopped. He won't need to stop again. Joel and Speed Queen need to stop. They need to get past Humblestone, get down the road, get another set of rubbers on, and make it last. But unfortunately for them, they're stuck behind him, which is it's a bit of a double-edged sword now because I believe for Joel coming up behind Humblestone helped him evade the jaws of Speed Queen because he managed to get into Humblestone's toe, so it helped him in a way. But now he needs to try and clear the medium running Humblestone as quick as he can. On his tyres will be quite worn now. I believe he came in at pit on lap 7, so. Yeah, no, lap 9 he came in, so he's no, he did, yeah, he came in lap 7, so his tyres going to be quite worn. Speed Queen is obviously coming up behind him at the moment as well. As Scott goes quickest. Scott, the two-stopping Scott, this is going to be very interesting now, Craig. You've got the two-stopping Scott on the Super Softs, trying to keep ahead of the Humblestone, who's going to be one-stopping.
Well, Joel goes defensive, trying to cover off that inside line. It's a late break contest between Joel and Speed Queen. Speed Queen comes out victorious on those younger soft tyres and moves up to 4th place. But you were absolutely right in what you were saying earlier on. Humblestone has the advantage because he does not need to pit again, whereas Speed Queen, Joel and Delange behind will need to come in for another pit stop.
Absolutely correct. What Humblestone will be doing now, he's going to be ahead of Speed Queen. He's got retention at the moment. It's going to be 6th, 7th, 10th. So he's going to be wanting to stay there because the longer he's ahead of Speed Queen, He's going to be holding it back because he needs to pit again, but those tyres are also going up a lot quicker in his dirty air, as he also will now Joel. As Joel has dropped back a second, so you'd have to question now, has Joel's soft tyres started going off, and will he have to switch onto the mediums to get to the end of this race and still be in contention? As Scopefield there, another one stop in Scopefield there. What a pit stop that's been for him, Craig. He's managed to jump Humblestone by doing the extra lap on the softs. So fantastic opening stint from Scopefield there to put himself into second place.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a train developing behind Scopefielder with Speed Queen, Joel, Delange and possibly Phil and SJD soon to close up this. So Humberstone and Scope basically going to the end of the race. Boy Better Know holding on to a 6.3 interval, looking to pit again. So again, it's all to play for as Speed Queen trying to close down Humberstone's Renault, with Joel trying to catch Speed Queen after that earlier overtaking. It looks like there's a three-way battle in turn 9. Humberstone gets ahead of Scopefielder. Scopefielder dropping down to third. Can Speed Queen tuck in behind Scopefielder, possibly doing a late braking move into turn 4? But Scopefielder is just too far ahead.
It's going to be a fantastic finale to this race. Well, it's going to be a fantastic second part of the race. You've got Humberstone and Scopefielder, both not needing to pit again. Both can easily get 15, 16 laps out of their mediums. Scott will need to pit again. He's 7 seconds up the road at the moment. Behind Scopefielder, you've got the Speed Queen and Joel, who will need to pit again. This race is going to really, really open up. It's very vital now for Speed Queen and Joel, while the tyres are still fresh, to get ahead of the mediums. You don't have a wide window. Remember, the tyres, they will wear off very soon. So you're going to be looking at potentially, in my view, a Humberstone, Scopefielder and Boy Better Know potential three-way battle come the end of this race.
You may actually see Speed Queen going into round about lap 20, lap 21, possibly going on the super softs for the final run. While Joel may need to pit a little bit earlier, possibly forcing him onto the soft tyre. And it's going to be...
Another issue there, Craig, is that if she does pit, she's going to come out behind Phil and SJD, who are both one stop. They do not need to pit again. So the two stoppers are going to be in a world of hurt. When they do eventually stop, they will come out behind more medium runners, unfortunately. So the white wall tyres are going to be somewhat of a nightmare to Speed Queen and Joel at this stage of the race.
Scopefield are having a little look up the inside of Humberstone, that run down towards turn 1, trying to put Humberstone under a little bit of pressure as Speed Queen still stuck behind both drivers on that medium tyre. So Speed Queen could be stuck behind these drivers for another 3, 4, 5 laps. Will we possibly see her go for a little bit of the undercut, trying to get out of this and possibly preempt Joel's pit stop behind?
You'd have to think so, Craig. Now, the thinking racer in me now is thinking the longer I'm behind these medium tyres, these medium runners, all that's going to happen is I'm going to get held up. My tyres are going to die off quicker. I'm looking now, we're thinking 13 laps to go. Is it worth me coming in now, putting a set of softs on, limiting the damage, but also getting yourself a fresh run at the medium runners while the going is still good? Because those tyres are just going to get into the window, and they're going to keep going. They're going to keep ahead of you. Because all Speed Queen's doing now is that while her tyres are good at the moment, they will go off before the medium runners go, and that gap will widen. And then you're going to get yourself in a catch-22 dilemma, because you're going to need to pit, but then you're also going to need to catch them up again and overtake them again. But you're looking at then potentially 12 laps. The gap is going to be 24, 25 seconds. By then, the position's gone and the race is over. Now is the stage of the race where you've got to look at it and think, should I pit and give myself a fighting opportunity of catching these cars later in the race? Speed Queen dives up inside the Scopefielder.
Oh, Speed Queen trying to catch Scopefielder sleeping into turn 1, but Scopefielder just closes the door as Phillips being caught by Red Bull driver SGD in that battle for 7th. But what is absolutely crucial in terms of strategy and overall race results, Boy Better Know cannot get that gap open enough for that pit window, so he could be coming in a little bit earlier, looking to get a run on these medium tyre drivers. He's currently holding on to a gap of 8.2 seconds. He possibly needs round about 16, 17 seconds, and certainly using the quicker pace on either the soft or the super soft. I think it's actually soft that he has to go in for. And he's actually got a free choice. He actually started on the soft, so possibly utilising the pace on the tyre once he makes that final pit stop to catch Humblestone and Schofielder.
Absolutely correct, and he's in the same quandary as Joel and Speed Queen. But what I'd do if I was Scott now, knowing that Speed Queen and Joel have been on the tyres longer, I'd wait for them to pit, because then once they've pitted, you're going to go into clean air once you've pitted, and you're going to come out between second and third place. If I was Speed Queen and Joel now, I'd be looking at the times, I'd be looking at the tyres, and I'd be thinking, get in the pits now. The super softs could last 10 laps, but you're looking to really be in clean air and not have a lot of battling. You have to look at it now as Schofield there. He's going to go up the inside of Humblestone into turn 1. Fantastic move by the Force India drivers. Humblestone going to come back at him. He's going to have a go, but Speed Queen down inside of Humblestone.
Speed Queen trying to force her way through, but Humblestone just allowed the Renault pace, the pace of the car, to just go round the outside and keep his nose ahead of Speed Queen. Speed Queen had to bail out of that. Otherwise, herself and the Renault would have been in a world of hurt with that contact.
It's unfortunate, Craig, but all this squabbling at the moment, in the long run, it's only going to cost Speed Queen, because Humblestone will be quite happy to battle and stick it out, because he does not have to pit again.
Yeah, Speed Queen knows that the pressure's on to get these moves done, and she's trying everything that she can to get ahead of the medium runners.
Absolutely, Craig. See, Scott now, the gap between Schofield and Scott, I imagine it'll go down now, because Schofield is on an absolute blinder on the medium tyres. He's definitely in with a shout of the race win at the moment. It just depends on Scott pitting and if Scott can get back up the road to catch him. You have to imagine Scott will probably go on the super soft. He's in the super soft window now, as is Speed Queen and Joel. But the problem is with Speed Queen and Joel is that once they pit, we're potentially looking at 20-25 seconds of only 10 laps to go. So it's now, this is going to be the crucial point. I imagine they're going to pit now. You've got to pit now. You have to pit. This has got to be the lap you pit. Good choice of tyres now.
And it looks as Speed Queen's lining up Renault driver Humblestone for an overtake with DRS on that run down towards turn 1. Just gets in the toe. Imagine she'll pull it out soon. Oh, she does. She's looking to go down the inside. It's going to be a late breaking contest between the Williams and the Renault. Speed Queen gets ahead, moves up to third place, and will be looking to chase down Schofielder, who's 1 second ahead.
Crucial to know as well that Humblestone didn't put up a fight. He knows his battle is later on in this race, so you don't want to get caught in any more squabbling with Speed Queen, who we know will be pitting again.
And what is interesting, Tom, that an 11 lap old soft, Joel is starting to drop back. The gap opening up to 3.1 seconds. So it looks as if Joel's decision to pit a little bit early, possibly backfiring, and I will expect him into the pits either this or next lap.
Absolutely, Craig, and all I can guess there is that he's possibly cost himself by trying to get into the super soft window. He's obviously opened up another gap of 3.3 seconds behind Humblestone, so just trying to get into that window is costing time at the moment, as the gap now goes up to 3.9 from 3.1, 4.1 now, so Joel has definitely cost himself. He's gone through. He's took the soft tyre, which he's currently on now, to the brink. I imagine Joel will pit this lap. Well, he should be pitting.
The gap between Boy Better Know and Schofield are currently holding at 8 seconds. Schofield's actually took a couple of tenths off him this lap. He'll definitely be able to go a little bit quicker now that the pressure's off behind. But it may actually be applied again as Speed Queen beginning to rain down that force into the gap, holding at 1.3 seconds. It looks as if Joel is making his second pit stop of the race, and we would expect him to opt for the super soft tyre.
So, Craig, one driver who's slipped by the side and all this commentator on the top 5 is DeLange. He pitted a lap earlier. He's now on the softs, and he looks like he's going to jump Joel because he took the opportunity to jump in a lap earlier while Joel had one softs. Super softs, as DeLange has jumped Joel. So you have to guess now that once Speed Queen does pit, DeLange will jump Speed Queen, and the race will be on for that 4th position. As Scott now looks like he's coming to the window. The gap has now gone down at 8.1 seconds from 9 seconds to Schofielder. Interesting stage of the race. It's unfortunate as well, Craig, as we touched on this, that Malk, down in 9th place, he pitted 13 laps ago. He hasn't been able to make any waves through the field as drivers have pitted once, they've now pitted 2 times, so it looks like Mark struggled to get any temperature into the medium tyres, but special mention has got to go to DeLonge. He picked out a lap earlier behind Joel, got on the softs, saw the window, and now he's got to try and pull in 18 seconds to the medium runners. Just shows how crucial it is to get that first set on the soft tyres, make it last, because you make your race so much more towards yourself the second stage on the medium tyres. As Speed Queen has opened up a gap to one, as Scott has pitted Craig. Interesting, what's he going to go on? He's going to go on the softs.
Yeah, it will be interesting to actually see where he's going to come out on track. He's going to come out behind the battle between Phil and SGD. That battle for fourth. SGD trying to turn the screw on. Sauber driver Phil still stuck behind, but boy better know, just coming round turn 1 at the moment, possibly about 2-3 seconds behind that battle for fourth, and it's crucial that he does not get held up by both Phil and SGD, both on the medium tyre, looking to go to the end of the race. So again, certainly not 100% certain that Boy Better Know will be taking the race win.
Absolutely not, Craig, and we'll have to allude to it again, the importance between pitting once and pitting twice. And you can see, unfortunately, for Speed Queen now, she's stayed on the softs for 11 laps. I'd be very surprised if she manages to stay on them for another 8 laps, but what a fantastic run it's been, this run. She's still managed to stick with the medium runners. You'd have to imagine and guess that the soft tyres she's on have worn away in comparison to how early the other drivers pitted on the soft tyres. Unfortunately, she might slot in behind Joel and DeLange in 8th place, but the race has still got a long way to go. There's still a long 8 laps to go. The medium runners, they're going to be holding station. They are not going to want to pull over for Boy Better Know as he makes his run through the pack. Very esque of Charles Leclerc last season in F2 when he pitted twice in the sprint race, as we see Scott has now brought the gap down from 6.6 to 5.1, so he's got the softs working nice and early and up to temperature.
Yeah, recommended race distance on the soft tyres, 15 laps. The Speed Queen beginning to reach that point now on 12 lap old soft tyres, with 7 laps remaining in this 29 lap Bahrain Grand Prix. So it could be a big ask to take those soft tyres to the end of the race, but while she's doing that, Humberstone continuing to lower that gap between herself and Humberstone, the gap holding at 0.8 of a second. So Humberstone really just needs to bide his time at the moment. Just wait to see what Speed Queen decides to do. Possibly very similar to Raikkonen and Lewis Hamilton yesterday, where both drivers were watching what each other were doing.
That's the thing, Craig. It's one thing to catch up to somebody, but it's another thing to overtake them. I'm just trying to add up the numbers now. I believe Scott to be 15 seconds behind the race leader. He's obviously coming. He's going to come through the grid, you'll hope, at a rate of knots, as the gap has gone down from 6.6 in the space of a lap and a half to 4.3 behind SJD, who is going to very soon, potentially next lap the way Scott's going, come under the pressure of Scott. As DeLange is obviously still running well in 7th place. Does Speed Queen have to pit? You'd have to imagine that she will have to pit. It's just seemingly a case of where Speed Queen was slotted. Will she slot in 8th place behind Joel? But Speed Queen does pit. She's pitted. Speed Queen pit. No, she just.
No, she stayed out Humberstone with DRS, trying to put a little bit of pressure on the inside, but just couldn't pull alongside enough to control turn 1. So Speed Queen's tyres certainly dropping off here as Humberstone holding on to that 4/10 gap, and this plays into Scopefielder's hands now, the gap holding at 2.1 seconds.
I really hope Speed Queen can stay out in that. As many of us will be proved wrong in the suggestion that she may have needed to pit twice. While that battle is going on with Humberstone, Scopefield has managed to eke out a 2.2 second gap, very crucial to his potential race win, as Boy Better Know is now only 2.6 seconds behind SJD. SJD squabbling with Phil, which is obviously playing into Scott's hands at this stage of the race. As you can see, you can see them in the straight now. The gap looks a lot smaller than 2.6. It's going to be very interesting once Scott comes onto the back of them, because they are 2 squabbling cars and they're both not going to be very interested in looking in the mirrors to see a fast charging Scott behind them. as Humblestone is still only 4 tenths behind Speed Queen. Into lap 24 we go. Is Speed Queen going to pit? That's been the question for nearly every lap. She does not. She stays out once more.
I think on lap 24, I think Speed Queen's definitely committed to this one-stop strategy as the Renault driver, Humberstone, gets a great run on Speed Queen into turn 1. Speed Queen not looking to give up P2, but with those better conditioned medium tyres, is able to hold it round the inside and take P2 from Speed Queen. But Philip, SJD and Boy Better Know all within 3 seconds of each other as Scott trying to get the move done to put himself back up to a podium position after last week's race win. Possibly compromised his own strategy, opting for the 2-stop from the lead of the race.
Sorry about that, Greg. We appear to have had a dog come out the commentary box there. I do apologise as the race opens up lap 24 out of 29. Speed Queen, like you say, Craig, early on, as you alluded to, that looks like she's now committed to this strategy, as Boy Better Know is only 1.3 seconds behind FTD Battle that I've been keeping an eye on, as he also has Phil in front. So if Scott can clear these two, he'll go up to 4th, but then he'll only be 8 seconds down the road from Speed Queen.
Yeah, she's certainly looked after these tyres expertly, and even on the first stint when the tyres were starting to hit the cliff, really holding on to that 1 second gap to Scott during that first pit window. But SJD still stuck behind Phil as that battle for 4th and 5th adds another driver, Scott, currently down in 6th. So Scott looking to go up the inside on the fresher tyres round turn 14 and 15, gets the move done on Red Bull driver SJD, and now looking to chase down fellow Sauber driver Phil on lap 25 of 29. So Boy Better Not known, definitely not waiting on ceremony, getting that move done as soon as possible.
No, not at all, Craig. They're the moves we like. He caught SJD with his pants down, threw up the inside and said, I'm going through, son, like it or lump it. And Scott is now on the warpath as he chases his fellow Sauber.
Yeah, just tucks in behind Phil as we approach the end of Sector 1. Oh, the nice little sequence of 6 and 7. He's on the fresher tyres. You can see that he's eager. He's to and fro, he's going left and right. He's just trying to hassle his way past Phil as we approach turn 9 and 10. Will we see a move down the inside? No, Scott just waits for the DRS on the run down towards turn 11. He is looking to get this move done as soon as possible to chase down that final podium spot. Has a little look up the inside at turn 11, goes up the inside of Phil in the side at turn 11. Both Saubers wheel to wheel, but goes round outside at turn 12. Phil trying to hold on to that inside line. Will we see? The both Saubers slight touch at turn 12 and 13, but it's a drag race down towards turn 14. Boy Better Know tucks in behind Phil, tries to get the toe up towards turn 14. There's slight contact, there's a damage on Scott's front wing. So intense moments at the Sauber pit wall as both Phil and Boy Better Know battle for 4th place as we run down towards turn 1. Scott holding on to that inside line, should get ahead, but can SGD put his nose up in the inside, but Phil's got him covered off. So great racing from both Sauber drivers there, Tom.
Absolutely fantastic racing, Craig, like you alluded to. I was quite surprised Phil put up such a fight. It was great entertainment for us all that he did, because I thought he would have thought his battle is behind him with SJD, with Scott being on the better tyres, but it was fantastic to watch, and it was great to see Scott come through the battle with both drivers unscathed. It's also, SJD goes up the inside of Phil. Is this going to be an opportunist? He should Phil out wide, and SJD, after laps and laps of being behind the Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo Sauber, manages to get up ahead of Phil into 5th place. As we know, I'll just quickly go back to the leaders there, Craig, and Scott Phil there. Yeah, it looks like he's got a 3-second gap at the moment. Speed Queen, fantastic run. You have to applaud that run at the moment so far on the soft tyres. 16 laps, absolutely fantastic. And you see Scott now in 4th place. Scott is now only 7.6 seconds behind with like 3 and a bit laps to go. So can Scott pull that gap down and take the final podium position?
Yeah, and Phil still holding on to the rear of the Red Bull of SJD. Joel trying to put a little bit of pressure on Delange down at 9 and 10. Lit up the rear tyres and had a spectacular sideways moment. Oh, Phil looking to go up the inside at turn 1 of the Red Bull. He has control of the corner. Can he squeeze the Red Bull? But SJD looking to hold it round the outside. But Phil looking to do the cutback on the exit of turn 2. So great driving from the Sauber and Red Bull drivers. A drag race down towards turn 4. Phil has the inside line. SGD, can he hold it round the outside? Oh, it does it again. It's still wheel to wheels. They approach turn 6. It's a little bit of a wheel bang at the end of sector 1. It's SGD holding on to the lead over Phil. This battle for 5th place is absolutely fantastic. It's going round towards turn 8. So both Phil and SGD definitely not willing to give up that position.
Absolutely, Craig. What a fantastic exhibition of racing here at Invictus. In the second round of the Novices Championship, you saw Phil ducking left, ducking right, looking for a way to try and get through SJD in the Red Bull. I just want to drag your attention to 4th place, Craig, as Scott has now gone from 7 seconds behind to 3.7 in the space of 1 lap. You have to wonder, Speed Queen's tyres, are they at the wall? Because that time is coming down at a rate of knots. It's gone from 4.2 to 3.3 in the space of a corner. So could we have a battle for the final podium position from 2 potential championship contenders come the end of this race?
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to the last lap. We've got yellow flags in sector 2 and sector 3 as Phil tries another run on SGD in the run down towards turn 1. He gets ahead and he certainly has a little bit of a gap now between himself and the Red Bull and can control the turn in on turn 3 and 4. So the gap now down to 2.2 seconds, Tom. So Scott definitely on the charge.
He certainly is, and what a fantastic move that was from Philly. Thought, I'm not messing about this time, I'm going up the inside, I'm taking the position, and I'm coming back across in front of you. I am not having you undercutting me, he says, as he is still 2 tenths ahead of SJD. A battle definitely to keep our eyes on, as we see Speed Queen now coming up to only 1 second ahead of Scott. Those soft tyres have got to be absolutely barking, and Scott is now right behind.
Yeah, just missed out on the DRS there, so he'll be waiting for the main straight.
Yeah, I imagine Speed Queen won't really put up a battle either. I know she's had a good run on these tyres, and I'm sure she'll be happy taking 4th place coming out of the race that she's had, and obviously battling with the front 2. But I have to take my headset off, I have to take my cap off, but I'll get my cap on to Scott Field and Humblestone. Both driven an absolutely fantastic race, inch perfect on the one-stop strategy from soft to medium.
And Scotfielder begins the final lap of the 29 lap race here at Bahrain with a 4.2 second gap between himself and Humblestone, but boy better know with a 7.7 second gap to Humblestone. Does he have enough tyre life? Does he have enough time to take second place from Humblestone? Or can Humblestone even up the score after last week's Australian Grand Prix? As SGD continuing to try and put pressure on Phil, the gap holding at 0.4 of a second. So can SGD get the move done on that Sauber driver Phil again as we approach turn 8? Will we see a little move up the inside? He's too far back at the moment. Both drivers lock up, both drivers driving to the edge of the tyres.
They might catch Speed Queen by the end of the lap, Craig. The gap's come right down.
Yeah, gap currently holding at 1.7 seconds. So Speed Queen will start to see that Sauber closing her down as we approach turn 11. But we're going to ride on board with Scopefielder coming down the back straight towards turn 14 as he could take the first race win in his no assist league career. Comes round, he moves over to the pit wall looking to celebrate with the Force India mechanics, and he will take the checkered flag here at Bahrain. Humblestone on the Renault will take second, and Scott on the two-stop strategy takes the final podium spot. Can Speed Queen hold off the Sauber of Phil? It's a photo finish. Oh, Phil looks to have just got her there at the end.
Right at the end.
Yeah, so it was a photo finish there for fourth. So Phil does take fourth from Speed Queen as she was really struggling with the tyres. SGD will take sixth. Delange takes seventh. Joel eighth. Malk, after qualifying in second, should come across the line in ninth as he's just coming round. Turn 13 at the moment is Mama Fisher, currently down in 10th, coming up turn 11. So we'll ride on board with Malk as he completes turn 14 and 15. It looks as if he's really on bingo fuel as he should take ninth. So your overall reactions to that Bahrain Grand Prix from start to finish, even in qualifying, Tom, your overall thoughts on that one?
Well, where do I start? I mean, I'm going to try and sum it up in as few sentences as possible. I'll start with, forget whatever you think you knew about Bahrain, because tyres, strategy, it's all up in the air. Qualifying, you don't want to qualify in the front, you don't want to qualify in the middle, you don't want to qualify in the back. It's an absolute lottery. The tactics there is obviously a case of one stop, two stops. Do you pull the trigger earlier and go for a quicker two stop, or do you try and drag it out because you want to fight with the front guys? Absolutely fantastic race. I mean, I'm sure there'll be a lot of two stoppers on reflection of this race, the likes of Joel, Speed Queen, the likes of Joel and Scott, who will look at this and probably think maybe I should have pulled the trigger earlier and pulled the two stop, rather than trying to drag it out a bit too longer. But as far as the one stoppers go, fantastic for Scott for his first win in the Novices Championship, and obviously he's classed as a rookie, but obviously, as we know, he's not a rookie driver himself, he's just new to Novices. And another fantastic finish for Humberstone as he takes second place, another podium finish, and obviously another podium finish for boy better know Scott.
So we'll just run down the final classifications of tonight's results. Scott Fielder does take the race win, followed by Humblestone, his second place finish this season. Boy Better Know takes third, completes the podium with Philip just beating Speed Queen across the line at the end there for fourth and fifth. SGD takes sixth, and Delange will take seventh, with Joel's finishing in eighth. Malk dropping to ninth from second on the grid. Mama Fisher taking 10th, with Mike and Jos failing to finish the race. So exciting from start to finish. We certainly hope that you enjoyed it this evening. Apologies for not doing interviews tonight, as there is a time limit here, and we will bring tonight's stream to a close. But join us next week for the Hungarian Grand Prix, I believe it is. But also we have the two performance leagues hopefully starting their season after PSN issues last week, so they will be starting their season tomorrow, and we do have the Eco Performance Leagues on Wednesday. But certainly the no assist drivers setting the bar very high at the start of the season, the start of the race week. But the final comment from yourself, Tom, just before we leave tonight's stream.
Well, we thought last week's race was great for the no assists. Unfortunately, there was a couple of drivers who we lost, who we'd imagine with contention, Queen, Phil and Sargent, but I'm pretty sure on the back of that race, the season and the championship is well alive. What a race to really kick off the Invictus no assist championship. That could be a race that we'll be speaking about for the next few weeks and possibly the next few seasons. It was an enthralling race to commentate, an enthralling race to watch, and it was just a pleasure to commentate on that alongside yourself, Greg.
Yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, Tom. Hopefully Gareth will be returning next Monday and bringing next week's race live along with yourself. So it's a quick good evening from us both here, and we hope that you join us tomorrow for the Performance League races, as well as the Eco Performance League races, as well as the rest of the season. So good night everyone, and thank you for those that joined us.